Okay, and hi everybody, and welcome back to Just Winning, the podcast where we share stories of resilience, courage, and community spirit. And today's guest is someone who's turned her own challenges into something extraordinary for thousands of people, Lana Purcel, co-founder of Feed Me Bellarine. You started in hospitality and you ran your own catering cafe operations, but you saw two things that you couldn't ignore, which were mainly the fact that you had mountains of food going to waste and the growing number of people struggling in your community. And so, welcome to Just Winning. I'm really happy to
Thanks.
have you here today just to tell us a bit more about your story, how everything started for you. What was the moment for you in your work, your life at that time that made you make this choice?
Yeah, so Feed Me kind of was organically grown from just a idea that I had. So it started in 2016, but we didn't actually start until 2019. 16, I purchased a commercial catering business in Ocean Grove, and I was a commercial caterer. I also got into the growing food at home, and I was producing a lot of food. I had a lot of leftovers, so I started a food is free page on Facebook, which allowed people to share everything that they were growing at home.
Yeah,
Now that just continued on, and then year by year I could see there was so much waste coming from my own kitchen because we were producing for large events. I was the caterer for the Blues Train for 5 years. Every time we came home or came back to the kitchen, we'd have almost 100 meals left over, and there's only so many times you can
yeah.
eat the same food. And so one night I had a chef working for me, Anthony, and he decided, let's put these into meals and we'll put it on our social media. We'll take it down to Church by the Bay in Port Arlington. And within half an hour, all those meals got picked up by people that were either going without food that night, were struggling to feed themselves every day, were feeding their children and not feeding themselves. And we were like, geez,
Wow.
we need to do this. Like, we need to do this properly. We had a takeaway store as well in Geelong that had a lot of ingredients. And so the kitchen converted those ingredients into meals as well. So we started using ingredients from our two outlets to then
Yeah.
create meals and deliver them to people.
And so you started together, didn't you? With you started together. Is that so? What was that working relationship like?
With Anthony,
Yeah, because I think
yeah, he
when
was
I first moved here, I think I met Anthony,
yes.
and so tell us how you then got to what the
So
feed
we
me.
we continued running. So he was employed as a chef for me,
Yeah,
and we continued to try to run the business in 2019 while also taking the meals and delivering them out to families. So we decided that with the calls that we started to get to the business saying, "Do you guys have any leftover food?
yeah,
We can't get to you. We need help." We decided to deliver to those people's houses. Anthony brought something from his childhood that made a difference to the charity and is the ethos of the charity forever,
yeah,
even though he's no longer with the charity. And it was to have respect in the food that we provide people and to provide people with food that wasn't embarrassing and there was no shame involved. So, as a chef, he created the most beautiful meals in takeaway containers, just like you'd paid for them and ordered them at the shops. So, when you bring them out in front of your family, it's not embarrassing. He had experienced that growing up, of the
yeah.
embarrassment and the shame around food relief.
I'm so excited to hear about that because I was wondering because that's such a key ethos as part of Feed
Yeah.
Me is the no questions, no agenda. No one knows, everyone feels comfortable going in there. But there's also, so yeah, so that's lovely to know that that comes from the fact that
Yeah.
that was his story and that there was something that is a very key part of Feed Me as well.
Yeah.
Just because of that lovely part, also there's something really special about the way that you work with volunteers. Is there something that you're doing particularly special there? Because it has got such a the volunteers. Because obviously, if you to create that culture where people come in and they feel really comfortable to go and get food, and there's no questions, the volunteers really do that.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
what is it you're doing to make that work?
So when we started to ask the community to help us as in a volunteer capacity, and we registered as a charity, we told our stories. Anthony told his story, and I told my story.
Yeah,
And in 2019, I had just gotten to 6 months sober. So within my work life and personal life, I had taken on too much. I had tried to do too much. I had bought a business. I was struggling financially, mentally, spiritually, physically. I was a highly functioning alcoholic.
Right.
So when when I went sober in 2018, it was December 28, 20, I decided to choose to live rather than to continue to suffer. So I was suicidal, and everything in my life was falling apart, but no one in my life knew it was falling apart.
Right.
So what I brought into Feed Me was, you can look like you're winning. You can look like you're fine. You can pretend that everything is okay, but underneath that surface,
Yeah.
your life can be an absolute mess.
Yeah.
And when I admitted that it was an absolute mess, when I decided to make some severe changes in my life and to work for purpose, I tell that story. I'm now 7 years sober.
Yeah.
I created Feed Me with vulnerability as strength. If you're vulnerable in your story, it feels weak, it feels horrible, it feels unsafe. But that's when the people that care about you the most, or people that have an empathetic side to them, can see that
Yeah.
you are struggling, and they'll be there for you and they'll support you. And that's pretty much what the volunteers saw from our story. Is Anthony grew up in commission housing and had to fight to survive. I was the opposite. I had everything and did everything and looked like everything was great, but we were both the same. He was broken from his life and I was broken from my life, and it
Yeah.
didn't matter where we came from, whether we started at the top and fell or
Yeah.
started at
Yeah.
rose. So having that vulnerability with the volunteers, I think, is always going to trigger some kind of connection to them, to their family, to their son, to their
Yeah.
daughter, to their auntie, to someone in their
Yeah.
family. And us providing a service that just allows that vulnerability with no judgment and no shame, that's what brings that community together, and
Yeah.
that volunteer culture together. Is it's okay to not be okay, and we're still here and we'll help you no matter what. I think that's the culture that you're noticing when you
Yeah.
feed
So
me.
it's okay to not be okay. And congratulations to you on your, positive choices for yourself. And within the chefing industry, it really is so high pressure that I think there's a lot of people with drinking issues in that arena because of the pace,
Yeah,
it's the
it's
culture.
it's a nightmare.
So you
Yeah.
would have had some challenges too with COVID because you would have had a massive increase of, people people being really stressed. They're also their own mental health problems. Was there challenges that you faced with Feed Me during that time?
Well, Feed Me was a very, very new charity. So we started September 2019, and
Yeah,
within 6 months, COVID had hit. Now, because we set our model up to deliver to houses, we did actually become a very essential service in the region, because every other food relief charity had to close, whether they were in a government building or a church or wherever they were operating, were not allowed to be open. We were a
yeah,
private building and considered an essential service. So COVID actually supercharged our growth. Funders could see that we could still help in the community, so we received 2 trucks. We had our rent
right.
paid for a year.
So, right,
So we benefited from COVID as an
right,
organization,
yeah,
only to then be able to service thousands and thousands of people. Every restaurant, because we're from the hospitality industry, every restaurant that closed down, every winery that closed down,
mm,
we went and rescued from all of those restaurants and businesses. So we were inundated with food that we could then cook with and we could then deliver. So
yeah,
we didn't shut down in COVID. We just went crazy. I didn't spend one day at home during 2.5 years
yeah.
of COVID.
And I mean, and I'm sure it was amazing for the community. And you're not just in Ocean Grove, are you? You're also in Geelong
Yeah, we're in Geelong and we're in Torquay.
and in Torquay as well. So when did you expand? Was that during that time as
Yeah,
well?
during
During the
COVID,
COVID?
we knew that we couldn't manage the logistics of the entire region, so the G21 region. So firstly, Geelong opened up in Newtown.
Yeah,
We worked with the Wathaurong Aboriginal Corporation and we did food relief with them. So we
yeah,
required a site for that. And Torquay, we were operating out of the Torquay Surf
Yeah.
Lifesaving Club for the first 6 months until we realised we really needed to get a place there. So they've been around very early on. They're not
Right.
new.
Right. And so for you, what would you say just in the whole time? Is there any particular story that really has been poignant for you in terms of what you see you've done for the community in terms of anything that's been personal or
Oh, there's
you must have
so many
hundreds.
stories.
Yeah.
There's so many stories. I mean, the most impactful thing that I feel that happened that where I was like, look what we've been able to do was there was a lot of displaced people during COVID, and
Yeah.
we decided to not play by the rules. So
Yeah.
there were rules about where you could congregate and how many people. But if there's that many people not feeding themselves, I will get food to them and you can come and get it.
Yeah.
And yes, they threatened to call the police on us, but we went and serviced the Indian community at Deakin. They lost all their jobs, they had no income, they couldn't
Wow.
study, all their bills were coming in. They
Yeah.
were starting to get displaced from where they were living. So we actually collected all this culturally appropriate food, drove it to the university, and laid it out in huge lines and had hundreds of students come down and actually be able to take food for themselves.
Wow.
And that was a lot. And that's a community that also sometimes feel rejected by us.
Yeah.
So
Yes, there was some.
that was really nice, yeah. And
Yeah.
and then the smallest little things where you go to a house and you can see that they're just struggling to feed their children, and we're able to put a smile on a kid's face, and they
Yeah.
know that they're having breakfast and they're having dinner, and little things like that. Then it's absolute trauma in some families when you unexpectedly lose someone that you shouldn't lose. The initial support from the community can be very, very strong if you lose a child in a public
Yeah.
way
Yeah.
or something like that. But after a little while, things can drop off.
Yeah.
And so we've been supporting a family for 3 years since a terrible trauma has happened. We know
Yeah.
it doesn't take 5 minutes, two
No.
months, three
Yeah.
months, 6 months, a year to get over such a traumatic
No,
experience. So
definitely.
we know that we're helping them as long as they need
And
help.
you're also doing the Friday nights, and that's bringing the meals where you're cooking and doing restaurant. So what
Yeah, so
inspired
we
that?
do.
Because that's also bringing community together, and that's been huge
Yeah.
for us here in Ocean Grove, and it really does bring community groups. I'd say a lot of community groups would be going as a group to tend, and also families.
Yeah.
When you can't really afford to take your kids out for a meal, there's people there having the opportunity to have a three-course dinner, at a price that they can afford, or a donation of whatever they can afford. So that's been spectacular for us. What inspired that concept?
Most probably Anthony at the
Yeah,
start. I mean, we were used to doing that kind of work. We're used
yeah,
to restaurants and service and having a little bit of experimental side to our food. So bulk cooking thousands and thousands of meals isn't fun.
yeah,
It's not the fun side. So when we're receiving donations or rescue that is a little bit different, we were able to say, let's pickle this, or let's do this, or let's do that. But how are
yeah,
we going to serve it? We wanted to have the community blended, so it really played into us not wanting to be an agency that only serviced people in trouble. So
yeah,
that's why Feed Me exists in that open community
yeah,
way, is that
yeah,
you can come and shop, and the guy that drives the Mercedes can come and shop. It's not taking away from our food relief. It's helping us fund our food relief. And so
yeah,
the dinners are like little mini fundraisers where we can show what we can do with food.
yeah,
We can also bring different parts of the community together. You don't know whether you're sitting next to a table that can pay $5 and they never get to go out. We had a beautiful couple that had never gone to dinner for their anniversary ever. And they came to one of our first dinners and had a three-course dinner and were just in tears because they got to experience that kind of environment they never had before. And then the table next to them could, be donating $1,000 for the 5 people that are there, knowing that we're putting 100% of that money into the charity. So it allowed the kitchen to experiment and be chefs,
yeah.
and do
Enjoy
service. yeah,
passion.
enjoy their role, yep,
Yeah.
and play. It's got the play side to it. Encourage the community to blend, and then for us to make money, because we're not government funded in any way. So we do have to find as many channels as we can that we can bring in money to keep us alive.
Right, right. I do know that one of my roles, I used to take some of my students with disabilities to work placements so they could actually do packaging of food to support, within a safe, structured environment. So just in terms of that for you, in terms of what you see for your future, in terms of how you're going to be moving forward, I know that you've won the Human Rights Award. So, and you've also, there's something else happening about a hub or something. Do you want to fill us in with Tell us a bit about that story, about that award, and the is it a 4 million hub or something? What's that all about?
Look, that's not happening. It was a government commitment at the last election, and when that doesn't follow through, you don't receive any money. So that's the second round of elections that we've been committed a $3.5 million building, but doesn't happen. So we'll just keep working towards our own goals.
Oh, right.
Yeah, the award was just kind of recognition of, I think, really the ethos of Feed Me is that
Yeah,
food is a human right, and we shouldn't be placing people in situations where they have to prove themselves they need it,
yeah,
which I think is what was recognized there. But
yeah,
the most important part of Feed Me is the volunteers. It cannot run without the incredible tribe of
yeah,
500 people that have dedicated 2 hours, 3 hours, 10 hours, 15 hours, 40 hours or more of their life to doing this.
yeah.
You know, that's
So I mean,
incredible.
yeah, I've had a friend of mine actually works for you, and she has for 3 years. So that really says something that people stay. They stay in, and it's a family. She said it feels like a family. And it's been important for her in her own life. And you can really see it. You can just really, really see it. And people are smiling. It really has definitely got a really strong positive culture, which you can just, get the vibe on. So just tell us a bit about what your plans are for the future.
Oh, plans for the future. I really just want to get every location to just be operating in its max capacity.
Yeah,
For the volunteers to be really cared for the community to be really involved, for our ethos to be understood out there.
yeah,
There's a few people that go, well, I saw that person at Feed Me. Why are they at Feed Me? Well, it's because you don't understand what Feed Me is. I want to get the message out there better
yeah,
to make sure that the community are really aware of what we do and how we do it.
yeah,
Torquay, we've just moved last week into a larger premise, so there's a few things happening down there that the model from Ocean Grove, I want to be down there as well. I want the community to have that space to have a coffee and go shopping and
yeah,
feel like it's part of the Feed Me family. Our Geelong side is a little bit smaller, so it doesn't get to spread its wings at all in
yeah,
regards to the space that they have to work with. But at the moment, we're not looking to go anywhere else. We will be partnering with lots of different organisations that are struggling with the amount of food that's being supplied
yeah,
at the moment.
yeah,
And that's what we have to work on as well. It's about securing more relationships with food vendors and producers and distributors
yeah. So it's
to get that
consolidation.
food out of landfill, yeah, and get it to us.
What would you like from us in the community? What would you like to see more from those that live in the community, in any of those communities? What can we do?
Oh, I'd love you to be a person coming to Feed Me, not necessarily for food relief, unless you need food relief.
Yeah,
Please come see us and have a chat with us because we can help you. And to understand that it's not embarrassing and it's not shameful to come and get food from us.
yeah,
And then to shop in the market, have a dinner, buy coffee from us, talk to the volunteers and join the community that we've created here.
right.
That's the best thing. You work in food production or food distribution, or you're the big boss at Coles or Woolies or Aldi that can increase what we get there. That would be cool as well.
Okay, well, let's have a shout out to anybody in the community that can, support with some extra food coming in from wherever. Also, there's the farmers pick, or there's those companies. There's quite a lot going
Yeah,
on. You've got
your
the
food
um,
placements. Yeah.
I'm sure there'll be a never-ending supply as there's a hell of a lot of food and a hell of a lot of food waste. Lana, I really want to say thank you ever so much for giving me time today. I'm really pleased to
No
have got
worries
to know
at
you a bit
all.
more myself, and I look forward to bumping into you again at Feed Me and coming in to have a dinner on Friday nights. All right, thank you ever
No
so much, and I
worries.
hope you have a
Looking
great
forward.
day.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thanks, Lana.
Bye.
Thanks. I'll just stop the recording.